Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It's the middle of the week, which of course means it is match preview show time, and it's a familiar face to everybody on this channel, and of course to anybody who follows the EFL and more particularly Notts County. It is the brilliant Tom Williams. I will put his details in the description, as I always do at the bottom of this video, but I'm sure you're all following him. Absolutely brilliant stuff on anything that's lower league, non-league, and just football in general. Cap it off, he's a nice fella as well, isn't he? So it's one of them. How's it all? How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, blushing after that, mate. I didn't pay to say that, honestly, but
He didn't, to be fair. I'm skint.
yeah. No, thank you very much, mate. Honestly, that means a lot coming from yourself. But it's always a pleasure. Always enjoy these. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be back on. I'm good. Yeah, I'm well, and as we discussed off air, probably in terms of footballing, how well I am, I'm doing all right in the minute in comparison. So yeah, no complaints really.
Yeah, it's always a good place to start is recent form, and it's fair to say that it's contrasted, I suppose, is the politest way to put it in terms of the Gills. I'll just rush through that quickly because it is a Gills channel, so everybody knows about that and certainly doesn't want to be reminded of. It's 2 points from the last 18 for what is now John Coleman's team. Obviously, 3 of them games have been under Coleman. 3 of them were under his predecessor, Mark Bonner, before he was given the sack after that horrific performance at home to Burnley. So, yeah, defeats against Colchester, Wimbledon, Bromley and Doncaster, all to nil, and then 2 draws, which on the face of it seems all right away from home, but it was against a really, really poor Tranmere team and a not much better Grimsby team, and we still contrived to throw it away in the 97th minute, having bossed the second half and hit the frame of the goal twice. We still haven't actually scored a goal ourselves since the 20th of December because our last 2 have come courtesy of a Tranmere and a Grimsby Town centre-back. Currently sits 17th with 32 points from 26 games. Notts County at the other end of the spectrum, 13 points from the last half dozen games. That comes in the way of wins against Cheltenham, Swindon Town, Accrington and Carlisle. Draw against Bromley and a solitary defeat at home to then runaway leaders and inform Walsall before they've certainly hit a little bit of a wall the last current Tom. But yeah, you must be pleased. You currently sit second, 47 points from 27 fixtures.
Yeah, definitely. I think that what we spoke about off air, actually, I just mentioned that now, is that I think the craziest thing about the position we're in is that the fans, and I can understand why, aren't that happy. As in, definitely a feeling around the club that we could be doing better. Performances could be better, and points and things like that. Like the Bromley game felt like 2 points dropped. The Carlisle win is one of those horrible Tuesday nights where you've got a team who are struggling. Actually looked a lot better than their league position, and you know, kind of maybe didn't deserve all 3 points really. So maybe that's harsh to say because they didn't create or threaten loads other than hitting the woodwork, but it wasn't a vintage performance by any stretch of the imagination. So from that perspective, there is certainly thoughts and feelings that things could be going better. But conversely, we're second at the minute. I know that obviously other results could mean we could be top 3 going into Saturday. Either way is, it's excellent. If you finish the season now, we'd be promoted, and that's ultimately got to be the aim. I think we're above. Again, we kind of had a little chat before. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But since we last played, I think you asked me about expectations, and I, kind of would have said around playoffs. But I think now, in the position that we're in, we've got to be aiming for top 3, and then if you fall short, you're in those playoffs. So that's a really strong position to be in with less than half the season to go. So yeah, overall feeling really happy. But as I say, there is definitely a feeling that things could be going better, which does sound a little bit like a little bit harsh to be saying that to someone whose side are struggling genuinely on the pitch.
Yeah, and I suppose it must be great to have that comfort blanket of if we do drop out of the top 3, we've still got the lottery of a 2-legged semi-final and potentially a Wembley appearance to moan about as well. But such is life. Yeah, I suppose the caveat of the Carlisle performance, just to touch on that quickly, is it's a good sign, isn't it? If you're not at your best and you're not at full throttle and you still manage to grind out 3 points on a Tuesday night, and we know the old cliche, it's cold, it's windy, no one really wants to be there, I don't think. So to get yourselves over the line is certainly a positive.
100%, 100%, exactly that. All the cliches, and actually, I was messaging my friend about it on the morning of the game, and he said, normally I would really care about how we play, but we just want to take all 3 points. That doesn't matter. Let's just get over the line because, like you say, it's Tuesday night. they are better than they actually are, probably. League position wise, they've added new players, and stuff like that in January. And yeah, to get, if you're saying that we want to win no matter what, and then at the end of the game you've won without being at your best, you can't really complain. So, going into that game, it was just about getting the 3 points, and I know that's what every game's about, but in particular, it was very much like we need to just get a win no matter what, because it's one of those games, like you said. It sounds cliche, but Tuesday night, horrible weather, and yeah, a potential banana skin, using all the cliches there, but it really was. So, yeah, all 3 points, and certainly things to improve on, I think. Um, Definitely areas where you think that could be a concern going forwards. But like you say, to get 3 points whilst not being anywhere near our best is a sign of a good team, isn't it? So I think that you got to take the positive of that.
And I think just looking at that top sort of 8 at the moment, there's going to be games where you've got to just grind out stuff and not at your best, because it's ridiculous to think if you'd lost that game, you're not even in the playoffs, or you're seventh. It's like, it's mental. Yet now you're sort of, you've got Walsall in view again. I know they've still got a fairly big cushion, but they've just sort of just dropped off in the last couple of games. I mean, I lost in the week as well, I think, to Fleetwood under Pete, while they've picked up really well. So I suppose then it gives you the third roll of the dice, that you can think, right, if Walsall lose a couple and we win a couple, suddenly the title could be a chance, and then it's the top three and maybe the playoffs. It's, it's not a bad trio of options to have, is it? Certainly compared to what we're going through at the moment. But we want to find out about Notts County, of course. And yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more contrasting since we last met. I think we beat you on the 21st of September and went joint top, I think it was. We was only off the summit on goal difference to Barrow, another team that's fallen off the edge of a cliff. We then beat them the week after and went top of the league. Since then, we've taken 16 points and you've taken 33. So that is why there is a vast difference in terms of league position at the moment. But I want to talk about Stuart Maynard. Tom, obviously, it was someone that we spoke about a couple of times last season. As an outsider, I was certainly very cautious. Number one, because of the job that Luke Williams had done previously. And number two, because he didn't have a great start. I remember we came to Meadow Lane and won fairly comfortably. And there was a sort of, not a lot, but there was certainly murmurings of discontent amongst the Magpies fan base. But I think it's fair to say that this season, despite you staggering me by saying that some fans are unhappy, he's put his own stamp on it, hasn't he? And he's done it as well, which probably for me makes it a better job, without Jody Jones for a large portion of this season, because he got injured in that game against us. And I think he's only come back in sort of the last few weeks. So you've done it without Jody Jones for 3 months at least.
Yeah, exactly. And Jody's not back at his best yet. So you won't see, you're probably fortunate to hear that, you won't see the best version of him on the weekend. And he's not quite full speed, but he's still Jody Jones. He's still got massive quality.
I'll have him. If you're not happy with him, we'll take him.
Yeah, no, definitely happy with him there. Definitely, and there's he started the last couple. Maybe he won't start the weekend, but should be involved. But Stuart Maynard, no, he's done an incredible job, and it's not been an easy season at all from that perspective. I mean, recently, his assistant and the other coach have left. That's in the last week or so. That was announced. So he's now with a different backroom staff. Same backroom staff that promoted from within. So now a new assistant. So he's had those kind of that issue as well, and obviously Jody Jones not being available, and Dan Crowley leaving, a big player, going to MK Dons as well. So it's not been and like you said, and like you mentioned, discontent within the fan base, huge step up going from part-time to full-time, all these things. So I think you can only praise the job that he has done, because it's been a huge transitional period with all those things factored in, and obviously Notts is a very stable club now. So you have that kind of that backing, which will certainly help, but still got those individual hurdles to climb. And I think he's done a brilliant job, and I think that he's definitely won round some of the fans. I think some still aren't 100% there. I think it's always going to be the way after Luke Williams, just because of the football we played, and we still play a possession-based style, but it's not quite the same high pace intensity. But there are differences, and it's getting us points, and we're much more solid, much more hard to beat. And I think that Stuart Maynard deserves a huge amount of credit for that. So yeah, he's definitely establishing himself as a very good manager for the level, and that's another thing that I think is sometimes lost as he's learning as well. Like he's come from non-league and where he played as well in non-league, so it's very much sort of new footing for him, and he's doing a good job in that from that regard. And I think if you'd have said to him you'd be second with 20 odd games left, I think he would have snapped your hand off. So I think he'll be pleased with the job that he's done this season as well.
Yeah, and I suppose it's again another opposite to us. It's the benefit of giving a manager time, which Gills and sadly have not done enough of, certainly since the takeovers come. I mean, we're on our fourth if you include John Cullen, fifth if you include Keith Millen doing an interim period. It's not the way to build continuity, regardless of your opinions on each manager individually and their merits, but that's probably a chat for another day. One final question, talking about Stuart Maynard. Has Jody Jones's injury layoff perhaps been a blessing in disguise for Stuart and yourselves? Because it was almost like, it felt like as an outsider before, Jody Jones was Notts County. And we know you had other good players. You had Crowley, you had McGoldrick, you had Langstaff before he left, but it always felt like it was not Jody Jones FC. I don't want to say that. But has it almost helped Maynard in the sense that he's had to adjust and then other players have had to adjust and pick up the baton and go, right, we've all got to step up here?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that like that before, but I actually really like that as a point. And I think what it did do, it put a bigger emphasis on the structure of the whole team. And sort of it really drilled in how important that was. I think from a defensive perspective, not from a perspective where I think Jody Jones isn't good defensively, although it's not it's not his game. But what I mean by that is it probably put an onus on the team working together as a collective a lot more, rather than right, the outball is get the ball to Jody and let's let him create something out of nothing.
That's what it felt like before. It was either get the ball to Jody Jones, he'll give it to Crowley, vice versa, and then it comes into Langstaff goal, McGoldrick goal, and that was it. And we spoke last season, I think it was that trio or that four that we spoke about, depending on which fixture before Langstaff left. And the numbers were brilliant. So you can't get away from the fact they're all very good and they're all a big reason as to why Notts County are doing what they're doing. But it almost feels like now that emphasis has just sort of dissipated a little bit. And it's now more about the 11 rather than the four big names or the three big names.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's even about more than the 11, the whole squad, because we rotate a little bit more now as well. And I think that has been so big. And last season we're very reliant on those players, and it was kind of an injury away from it being a disaster. And Jody Jones gets injured, and it did feel like, oh, this is a disaster. But we've adjusted, we've adapted to it. And I think other players have stepped up in his absence, and one of them, Sam Austin, he may come back into the team this weekend, but he has again, he's a centre midfielder, but he's adapted to wing back, and it's given players like that a chance to really stake a claim for a place in the team. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd rather have Jody Jones available, and we're going to be stronger for it in the run-in. But yeah, it definitely has. Yeah, talking of taking a positive perspective on things, it has certainly, I think, aided the sort of structure of the group and the collective. So yeah, you could definitely look at it from that perspective for sure.
And the other thing is there's not much pressure on for Jody to come back into the team, is there? If you were struggling for goals, you weren't creating, you weren't scoring, you think, oh, we've got to rush him back, and then you might end up seeing him pull up again. Whereas now you can phase him in, bench, start, that type of thing, 20 minutes, half hour, 45, an hour, that type of thing. There's not so much pressure on him because you've got all these other players that have stepped up. That leads me on to my next point, and I've written down a case for the defence, because we know how bad Notts County were defensively in their first season back in the Football League, and it's ultimately what said you're not getting promoted, you're not getting in the playoffs. I think you scored 80 plus, you conceded 80 plus. It was great fun as a neutral, I think, or if he was a ground hopper going. And a good mate of mine, Lee, I think, went to the game against Grimsby and scored 5-5. It's brilliant for neutrals, but it can't be good for the old heartbeat for those that are associated with the football club. You've only conceded 27 in 27 games this season. So just how big a part of, because it was a lot of new signings as well. So there was almost an element of risk that you got Alex Bass coming in, Jacob Badeau, Robbie Cundy, was it Rod's, his name escapes me, Rod? McDonald as well.
Yeah.
So there was always a risk that they were going to come in and might not hit the ground running because it's a completely new group. But it's fair to say they have done that. Just how good have they been and how impressive have they been?
Oh, absolutely huge. And I had this sort of conversation again the other day with my friend in terms of the one I was mentioning about before the game. And I said to him, you look at the two teams we've had, the sort of the promotion team from the National League and then the one that kind of came into League Two. And I said, I think that team offensively probably has had better players like Langstaff, Ruben Rodriguez. They're both championship players now. Jody Jones was in that team.
Mm-hmm.
We know how good he is. All those sort of players that have gone on and done done really good things. But if you look at the defence, you can't even dispute that the defence we've got now is so much better than anything we've had. Alex Bass, I think, is the best goalkeeper in the league, and that's a bold claim. But I think if you look, the stats will back that up as well. He's fantastic. Claims everything, saves everything. He's just a really good goalkeeper. Okay, he's a League Two goalkeeper, so there is a mistake every now and then. But relative to the league, I think you'll be hard pressed to find a better one than him. The back three's been settled. Matty Platt in the middle, and Bedeau. And okay, we've had an injury at right centre back, and I think that's an area of concern at the moment with Rob McDonald playing on he's very left-footed, and as the weeks seem to go on, he seems to get more and more left-footed playing on that right-hand side, which is obviously not what you want, but it feels like he becomes more and more awkward. But we've brought Zach Johnson in on loan from Sunderland, who looked really comfortable in the last sort of 25 against Carlisle, really good on the ball. So I'm hoping he will start against you guys. I'm hoping the back three will be Platt in the middle and Johnson to the right and Bedeau to the left. But obviously Lewis Macari's injured at the minute. He's been fantastic. Obviously a player you'll know about from that goal.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But he's been the one that's remained. But Bedeau, Platt, and Bass coming in has made an immeasurable difference. And the whole structure of the team's been better. So the whole team is defended as a whole much better. But in terms of individuals, the personnel is so much stronger. Just more pace in the back line, more aggression, much better in the air. We're not susceptible to crosses anymore. You've got a goalkeeper that's not just capable of organising his defence, but so confident. I think that's been something that's been lacking with our goalkeepers is the confidence. The confidence is knocked quite easily. Alex Bass, that's not the case either. So, yeah, the back three has been superb. I think that is something I'd say Rob McDonald, not to highlight him because he's playing out of position. He's not a right-sided centre-back. So it's unfair to criticise him, but he's certainly been a player that teams have targeted a little bit in terms of the press and the angle he receives the ball at and things like that have been. I'm sure that John Coleman will probably try and exploit that. But I do think that as a whole, he's been, again, when he's played in the middle or to the left, he's been good as well. So the signings as a whole in that back line, yes, it was a lot of new personnel, but it was required, and they've made a massive step up and a huge difference to our side.
And the other side is that they can play as well. And I
Yeah.
was brought up in an era where defenders defend. It was before you had to have a sweeper keeper that could, ping 70-yard diags like Edison and Alisson do in the Premier League and that type of thing. But I get that the game's changed, and that's certainly the type of centre half that you need. Ones that can defend, but ones that can start attacks from deep as well. And because I remember the game at your place from the winner actually, and I said at the time, I said Maxime has done what I think Bedeau was doing all first half, and he was brave enough to step out towards the halfway line, and then his little ball into Hutton is actually what started the move that released Elliot and Evans around Bass and score the winner. So, and it's certainly something that we need to be better at doing in terms of trying to create overloads and that type of thing. But obviously, I'm very aware that confidence levels are going to be very different come not 3:00, 12:30 Saturday, because the EFL have helped all you fans out again. Nice early start. Another player that we spoke about last season on more than one occasion, whether it was on the show or just on WhatsApp and that type of thing, and on X, was Alassana Jatta. And I think it was said at the time, I think he came in January of last year, probably knowing that Macaulay Langstaff was likely to move on either in that window or in the summer. And he was, again, like Jody Jones's return, he was phased in, he was coming off the bench, he was then starting the odd game, got used to how you played. And I remember you saying you thought he'd make you a better team because he offers more dynamics than Macaulay Langstaff. And we're not sitting here and saying that he's a better player, because Langstaff's numbers were absolutely ridiculous in the National League and League Two. But it's fair to say now that you don't miss Macaulay Langstaff, and that's testament to Jatta, because 17 goals and 4 assists this season, was it? Or 13 goals and 4 assists, I think it is, sorry, in the league, 17 goal contributions. I am going to ask you, is he or can he be better than Macaulay Langstaff for Notts County?
Wow, it's a tough question. I don't think he will, because I don't think he'll be here long enough.
Okay.
Because I'm hoping he's still in our team come the weekend. That's my big concern, my big
Oh,
worry.
okay.
Is we've had reportedly a couple of bids. Again, it's all reports, isn't it, online? So you don't know what to believe and stuff like that. But there's reported interest from Championship and League One clubs, and if the fees are to be, the rumoured fees are to be believed, a little bit more, and it will probably become an offer we can't refuse. So I'm hoping the fact it's so late now gives me confidence that he will be. Had this bit of game been a week ago, I'd be really nervous. But the closer we get, the stronger it looks. I think come the summer, I think he'll have 12 months left on his deal then. I don't know if we've got any options to extend or anything like that, but I think then that will become the time where we look to sell. So I don't think he'll have enough time to emulate Macaulay Langstaff. But then again, if he rises to promotion, then he's got the same amount of promotions as Langstaff does. Yes, he won't have scored the same amount of goals, but like you say, he offers different dynamics. And I think he's also a forward that will probably translate to a higher level better, just because he's a big lad, and he's pretty quick, and he's very good one-on-one as well. I think one element of his game that gets overlooked as well is that he's a massive asset for us defending set pieces. We lacked height before, and so set pieces were always susceptible. And because he's a centre forward, he's not going to be asked to mark a defender, but he's often the one that will go and attack the delivery, because he's a big lad, and so he's not really being asked to mark someone, but you go on, Alassana, you go and attack the ball. So he's a big asset for us defensively as well, in a weird way. And also from build-up shape, you can play long into him a little bit more than you could at Langstaff. So he offers all those different things. I just hope he is lining up against you on the weekend. That's my big hope, because we're linked with a player from Cardiff on loan, a centre forward, I believe. So people are a bit worried with, and Junior Moraes has come back from Dagenham. His loan's expired there, so people are putting two and two together, and I'm hoping that it's five, because I am. This might age terribly, but I'm quietly confident that he'll stay, because there's not many days left in the window. But as you know, in football, things can change really quickly. But he is a huge threat and a huge asset for us up front, and it's certainly helped us fill the void that Maka left.
Right. Who are these championship clubs? If you are watching, and I will remove my tongue firmly from my cheek, hurry up and bid for him, because we need all the help we can get at the moment, let's be honest. You've also got the Peter Pan of David McGoldrick as well, who we was not writing off last season when we spoke, but said it might be a case that he might start getting phased out now. He's got 12 goals and 2 assists this season. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to talk about him because it's just depressing me. Dan Crowley is one that has left. He's played 3 games since his departure to MK Dons, who seem to just be stockpiling centre midfielders that can pass it backwards and square and keep it for days and days. That is Scott Lindsay's way. He's taken 7 points from 9 since he left, so there doesn't seem to be too much drama in terms of missing Crowley at the moment. And when you've got the likes of Jatta and McGoldrick, and then you've got Jody Jones to yet get back up to full speed, it probably softens the blow of losing one of your best players over the last couple of years.
100% it does, yeah. I mean, we haven't missed him from that perspective. That's not to say he's not an amazing player. He is a fantastic footballer. I think one of the best footballers I've ever seen. I've never seen a ball stick to someone like he. It just seems to be like Velcro on his foot. It's unbelievable how it does. And I do think if I was as good at football as Dan Crowley, it must be amazing to be him, because it must be so easy sometimes, because he makes it look so easy. But we haven't really missed him. I'm keen to see, we've signed Charlie Whittaker from Everton, and we've signed Jarvis as well from Hull. Yet to see a lot of either of them yet. And I don't know if either of them are kind of like-for-like replacements for Crowley, but they're both going to play in advanced areas. So it'd be nice to see a little bit more of them. Conor Grant has stepped up as well in his absence. Again, the jury's still out on him. I think the fan base are kind of split on him. There's a kind of belief we seem to play better as a team with him in the team, but you're not quite sure what he actually does. He seems to make the team tick a little bit better, but him as an individual hasn't really got the goals or assists that Crowley did. But all in all, like you say, doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. And we've got players in the squad that McGoldrick, your Jattas can get Jody Jones can get the goals and assists proven. And then you've added in 2 new players exciting young players who potentially could step up. So yeah, I mean, I wish Dan Crowley all the best, but like you say, it has softened the blow of him going again. And it's reported fees, no idea how much is paid, but if those fees are believed to be true, with 6 months left on a deal, it's kind of, you have to take it as a football club at this level. So yeah, you can't knock it.
Right. Saturday, 12:30. Score prediction. I've written mine down. I don't want to do this bit.
I'm actually gonna be. I don't really. This knows what to you. I don't really like playing against Gillingham. It just never seems to. I know
That's
we've
good
had
because
a.
I don't like watching
Yeah.
us at the moment. So
I always never feel that confident, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. It's away from home. I know you're shocked. I know 1-1
no,
draw.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
oh, well, there we go.
But the caveat is we have to score the first goal. If we concede first, we're dead men walking because we've lost every single game where we've conceded the first goal this season. I think it's 10, which is absolutely horrific.
That is
But
poor.
if we score the first goal, I saw enough in the second half against Grimsby to give us something to cling on to, for something for John Coleman to work with. I like the lad Asher Igbenoni from Crystal Palace. He's got something about him. He wants to run beyond his man, which we don't have enough of. He's got pace. Joe Bodie, I thought, was brilliant leading the line, albeit didn't score a goal. We should have won the game. We hit the bar and the post at 1-0. And then we did what we've done far too often, unfortunately. And it comes back as that old issue is we're not good enough in both boxes. But there was a lot to like about the second half performance against Grimsby. And if we can replicate that, then we'll give you a game. If we play like we did against Tranmere, then you might declare.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It could be. We haven't really had a bit. I'm trying to think of a big, like, massive drumming in the recent performances. Haven't really kind of been giving me that vibe that we're going to go and give someone that kind of. But then again, maybe we're due that kind of really good performance. But yeah, I think away from home, early kickoff as well. And as much as you do struggle in front of goal. You're not a. You'll probably correct me here, but from the outside looking, you don't seem to be a team that you're still good enough defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Still strong enough. So it's not going to be an easy day where we turn up to a team that's struggling that we're going to go and batter. It's like you're still a very tough unit, especially with John Coleman now managing as well. So I just think, I think it just feels like a 1-1 kind of game to me. Would that be a good result for us? Notts fans Notts fans watching this will say no. They'll be want all 3 points. But I
Of
do
course.
think, I do think in the grand scheme of things, come the end of the season, and of course that'd be say come 5 o'clock Saturday, if we do draw 1-1, and we'll probably be down to 7th or whatever, and everyone, terrible result. But it's so tight in there that if we can pick up these kind of points away from home, draw your away games,
Mm-hmm.
win the home games, I know that's a cliche as well, but I do think that would stand us in good stead. So I think, I'd probably take 1-1 now. Obviously, I want to win every game, but it could be a pretty a difficult fixture for us.
Yeah, and I'm also clinging to the fact that aside from Lewis McCarry's absolute shit pinger against us at Priestfield a couple of seasons ago, we'd be 4 unbeaten if it weren't for that against you as well. So, because I think we won the reverse fixture 3-1, and then obviously we beat you
This season, yeah.
3 or 4, something like that. Yeah. So it was basically one absolute screamer away from having 3 or 4 unbeaten against yourself. We won this season, didn't we?
Yeah.
Won that last season, apart from the Macari one, and I think the one before that we might have won as well. But it's got to go back a few years. So I think we relegated you, didn't we? All them years ago.
We'll not talk about that.
That was mental, that game. I remember that. I'm going to talk about it because we scored 3 in 90 minutes, which we don't. I think we scored 3 in about 3 minutes, in fairness, because I think you were 1-0 up approaching injury time. And then because you had to win, I think we equalised. And then you basically had 8 up front. It was basically just Roy Carroll against everyone else. I think was it Graham Burke scored your goal, if I remember rightly. And we had him on loan. He was absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
for us.
From Villa,
Yeah.
Again, darker days, I think, than at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'll take one on. Right. We'll have that. 1 each. We'll move on. There'll be 3 unbeaten then, albeit not won any of them. Tom, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Really appreciate your time.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it, and as always, and hopefully we do win this weekend. But 1-1 wouldn't be the end of the world.
Gills fans and Notts County fans, if you are watching at this point, you know what I'm going to say. It's a big thank you as always. Please consider hitting the like button. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free to do so, and it absolutely helps me out. Like I say, Tom's details are in the description at the bottom of the video. We'll be back Saturday, myself, Ava, and whoever else wants to get involved for Matchday Live. Could be a fun afternoon. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week and up the Gills.